The Grinch and Max Shoes Acrylic Painting Tutorial by Hot Pink Zebra Polish.
Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you another shoe design. So I believe this is my second one on this channel. My first one was some octopi that were really fun on a pair of little blue shoes. But these are going to be the Grinch. So as you can tell, I like the Grinch. Grinch hat, Grinch glasses, Grinch shirt, Grinch shoes. So the shoes were just plain red wedge heels, and I added the Grinch and Max on each one as well as some white fluff. So these are just so cute. I've been wearing them every time I wear a Grinch shirt, which I've got about 10 of them, so that's fairly often. I start wearing Christmas clothes after November 1st, just the way I do things. So I've been wearing Grinch stuff for a little bit now, as well as like llama shirts and all kinds of crazy holiday stuff. I have too many Christmas clothes not to start wearing them as soon as I can. So I just kind of ignore Thanksgiving and go straight to Christmas, usually. So anyways, this is going to be one of, I hope, a couple different winter themed videos on this channel. Otherwise, if you guys love the Grinch as much as I do and you're curious about how I did these glasses, I will put a link to that in the description box below. It's on my art channel, or on my nail art channel rather. And I will probably have more Grinch stuff on there because the Grinch is a big part of my life. So I hope you guys like this design and these shoes. I think they're just adorable. I'm really in love with them. And please click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
So to begin with, you're going to want to put your fluff on your shoe and then make a mark as to how far it goes down so you know where to put your Grinch exactly. So, because it does cover up a little bit of the top of the shoe, so you don't want to have the Grinch's head covered by white fluff. So make sure that you just kind of mark that off so you know where it's going. And then with white paint, you're going to be wanting to add all of your lines for the Grinch. So all of his lines, all of his outlines. You don't have to add any details like facial features and that sort of thing, but you just need to make sure that you're going to have a nice base shape for him down. And the reason you're doing this with white is because this red is a very bold color, and and the material is like a faux suede, and it's very absorbent. So if you were to try to start this out with a green, you're going to find that you're going to have to add probably 4 or 5 coats. But if you do white paint, you can do 1 coat of white and then 1, possibly 2 coats of green. So it's a lot less paint, and it just goes a lot easier, and it's going to have a better result, a more smooth looking Grinch. So then after you have all of his outlines done, go through and fill him in. So I'm going to be doing this with that white paint, like I said, and I'm just going to make sure that everything has a nice layer on it. As you can hopefully be able to tell in the video, because like I said, this material is absorbent, as you really want to have that, that's the kind of thing you need to look for in a pair of shoes to paint, is something that is like a faux suede or like denim or something that's gonna kind of just suck in the paint. And so it takes a lot of paint to do this, and it takes a little bit of time for it to dry. So after you have your Grinch's white base coat done, you need to kind of either wait a while, have some tea, watch a movie, kind of skip. You don't have to watch a whole movie, watch a part of a movie, but then go back to it. Or you can go back and forth and do part of the Grinch and then part of Max, and then kind of just go back and forth and back and forth. And if you do it that way, you don't have much waiting time. Or if you're doing both these shoes at the same time, you can do white layer of Grinch on one shoe, white layer of Grinch on the other shoe, and just go back and forth that way as well. I did these 2 shoes on different days. I did one shoe one day, and then I did the other shoe the next day, because I wanted to have a completed shoe before I did the one on video. So I couldn't do that method of going back and forth like I mentioned. So then after you have your Max's white base coat done, same process though, white outline, fill it in. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to be adding the next coat, the green layer, to my Grinch. So this green is a very bright green, and you can still see a little bit of the red through it in his stomach type area. Because of that, I did add a second coat, mainly just over that area of the green. I didn't have to add much to it. It just had, just need a little bit more. You may find that with your paint. I find that usually lime green colors of acrylic paint are extremely pigmented. For whatever reason, you'd think that would be a color that wouldn't be. Yellows are awful, so why is lime green so good? I don't know. But it does seem to be that way. So I think you should possibly go with 1 coat. It might depend on how dry your white paint is, to be completely honest. I didn't really give it all that it needed. I'm impatient that way. I don't really wait for things very often. So that probably was part of it. So you might have to just wait just a second longer between your coats and then be good with just the 2 coats. Otherwise, add a little bit more green to the areas that need it. You should be good to go. On your Max, I'm going to start with a darker shade of brown for his ears. This one's just like a regular medium brown. And then for his head, chest, legs, tail, he has more of like a caramely color. So I started out with a lighter color that I thought was going to be good when I began using it, and then I was looking at it and I was like, ooh, that's too light. So I just took some brown paint on my brush and I mixed them together on the shoe, which is something that normally I wouldn't recommend because it's just not very, You can't get it very smooth usually, but because of the way the shoe is absorbent like that, it keeps a reservoir of paint and lets you mix it together really easily as you go. As you go. So you don't really have too much problems with that. So then after your Max has his color coat, then you can go through and you can do more details on your Grinch, like all of his black outlines. So I began with the main outlines, just going around the perimeters of everything. And then I went through and I added the details like his facial features and his fur texture on like the sides of his body and the sides of his face. And when you do the outlines on like the edges of his head, on his arms, on his body, on his legs, he's furry, he's fluffy, which is such a funny concept to me, a fluffy Grinch. But he doesn't have smooth, straight outlines. They've got these little, it's like a whole series of little flicks of the brush. So you don't want to just do one smooth line going down like you did with the white lines initially when you're doing those little, basically sketching. You need to do these little, just a whole bunch of these little lines instead. Just go through and add all those little lines like that. It actually goes really fast, and you might find it to be a little easier than doing a smooth outline because it doesn't have to be smooth. So it can be a little funky looking, and it's perfectly fine. So I actually kind of enjoy doing that kind of outline because, like I said, it's a little more freeing. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to be adding all of his facial features. Now really quick, because on past videos where I've painted an item of clothing, jacket, shoes, shirt, whatever it may be, I've gotten questions on what kind of paint it is I'm using. I really like to use Americana craft paint for these kinds of things. If you're doing something that's going to be washed, like a jacket or a shirt, you need to do some mixing with it so that it's going to be safe in the laundry. If you're doing something on a pair of shoes or on an item of clothing that is not going to be washed, you do not have to do anything to it, especially on shoes. The problem is it's not flexible when it dries. But on a pair of shoes like this, it doesn't need to be flexible because it's not going to be flexing at all. So you don't really have to worry about that, and you don't have to worry about it going in a washing machine because you aren't going to stick these in the washing machine. So you can just use regular old paint and have at it and keep going, and it's not a problem at all. So I just wanted to mention that, and it's really cheap to get craft paint, even if, you know, most of your acrylic paints are like artist quality acrylic paint, and that's probably not even the best option for this either, because most of the time those have a much heavier body to them, and they're not going to smooth over the material as well. So using that really cheap craft paint that's like $1.50 a bottle or whatever it is going to give you much better results, and it's, you know, it's easier on something like this. So that's the kind of paint you want to use. You don't even want to use good paint. You want to use the cheap stuff. So then I'm going to take, and I did all of my outlines on the Grinch, and then I'm going to do all my outlines on Max. Max has white eyes, the Grinch has yellow eyes. So just make sure you add those. And when I did Max's eyes, I had him kind of looking up at the Grinch, almost like, I don't know, to me, I feel like he's thinking, what are you planning next? That's always, like, he's just like, oh no, what are you going to make me do now? It's kind of my thought there. And Max's outlines are a little bit smoother than the Grinch's. They're not quite as fluffy looking, and he doesn't have as many of those little fur texture lines either. He mostly has those on his hind legs a little bit, not his, like under his chest. But there's not really too many of those comparatively. And then add his lines to his tail, add his pupils, facial features, and then you're ready to glue your fluff to the edge of your shoe. So to glue the fluff, I took hot glue, and this is what I used is like a boa style trim from, I believe I got it at Joann's. They sell it by the yard, but you can use any kind of white trim. They have a lot of different things. I think adding that little white trim on there, though, it makes them so much more Christmassy. Even if nobody pays attention to the Grinch, or if somebody doesn't look at the Grinch, they say like, oh, cute Christmas shoes. So I wanted to make sure they had white fluff, and I just did 4 or 5 inches of glue at a time. And when you're gluing it, you want to make sure that you leave a little bit of a gap so that your glue doesn't touch your skin and cause a blister as you're wearing them. Because that wouldn't be any fun at all to have an awesome pair of shoes that you can't wear because they hurt. So just leave that. Otherwise, it's just that little bit of fluff touching you, and that doesn't cause any problems at all. It's soft. So then you should be all set. Like I said, these don't need any kind of a sealer over the paint. They're good to go. That paint isn't going to really cause you any grief at all when it's on a pair of shoes like this. It's just done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love these shoes. I've been wearing them with every Grinch shirt I have, which, like I said, I have quite a few of those, so I've been wearing them quite often, and I've just been really enjoying it. So I hope you guys like this too. I'll put a link to that other shoe painting video I have in the description box below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!